Mailbox Sports, Postman 1914, coming back to the table to right a few wrongs. We are talking NFL crimes. And I've had a video put out this week that spoke to the inability of the Chicago Bears to procure both compensatory, my apologies, those compensation draft picks that would have come our way via the Atlanta hiring of Ian Cunningham. And according to the league, that particular gift of bestowment of those draft picks will not, in fact, happen due to technicalities in terms of the language based on the structural diagram that the Atlanta Falcons have put in place. There have been several instances in which this same scenario has come up in the last 4 years. Martin Mayhew may be one of the most recent particular scenarios in which he did not assume quote unquote primary decision making skills, yet the team was still gifted those compensatory draft picks in consecutive years by the league. To add to the crimes and the scamming that the NFL has continued to put on display for us this week, yesterday it was breaking news that Max Crosby and the Baltimore Ravens had reneged or backed out of a trade, I should say. Baltimore contends that the physical was not to their liking, and so they voided the trade. That would, in fact, send Max back to the Vegas Raiders. It would, in fact, restore the 2 first-round draft picks that the Baltimore Ravens had agreed to give away. As we know, legal tampering is a verbal agreement. It is not an actual handshake, pen to paper, everything is final. And so today, being the first day of league office, they backed out of the trade and commenced to signing one Trey Hendrickson for pretty much the same amount. And so that has led a firestorm of questions to figure out, is the league okay with this particular form of reneging, dirty pool, unfair play? Is the league intentions to do anything about it? Let's say that the Raiders do not recoup 2 first-round picks for Max Crosby at this point, and they only get a first and a third. They were promised via a trade agreement 2 first-round picks, and the backing out of this trade and the disparity between medical reports could, in fact, lower the value that they receive. If that happens to me and I already had an established value attached to a particular player, and because of a random one-off, those particular values are attempted to be usurped, for lack of a better term, or even downplayed, I think that it is a crime against the Vegas Raiders, as much as I don't want to say it. And I do realize that everything is not so black and white when it comes to the letter of the law, but there are so many gray areas in these particular rules that the NFL have set place that it starts to wonder, or it sets a precedent of questioning to find out just how honest, fair, and how much integrity does the NFL have when it comes to these situations. Because multiple times in the last year or so, most notably with the 2 particular instances that I've given you this time, it speaks to the flaws in the NFL system, and it's almost contradictory to the actual words that they put on paper. And so my question to you guys is simply put, is the NFL up to no good in these situations? Is this something that the league needs to look at on both sides to eliminate any unfair disadvantages that a team may be able to acquire due to a technicality in word? Do we feel as though a player should have to return to a team that has almost intimated perfectly that they do not want him to be a part of their team based on the fact that they traded him away? I know if Bills fans would be somewhat upset if all of a sudden the number 1 receiver that they have, known as DJ Moore, was returned to the Chicago Bears based on some sort of unforeseen circumstance that the Bills had no particular way of knowing. Not to mention, it is already known that Max Crosby has just completed or is still rehabbing from surgery. So to fail a physical would be expected, which further goes along into the line of, was this particular move a nefarious move? Was it something, once you found out the Trey Hendrickson asking price, made it a bit more feasible for you to not give up draft capital and simply give away money to a guy that kind of fits the same bill? Maybe we might find out this offseason. Maybe not. But I will like to find out your thoughts about this situation. So drop your thoughts in the comments. Is the NFL playing dirty? Or are these teams simply not putting in the requisite amount of effort to make sure that the league, in fact, follows the rules that they have set in place for themselves? The world may never know, but the question has to be asked, and fans want to know, is the NFL full of scammers at the top? Until next time, and until next delivery, Postman 1914, Mailbox Sports, the NFL is a scam. And we gone.